Okay, within the past decade or so, an unrealistic expectation has crept into the minds of guardians everywhere that their dog can and should be a therapy dog. And this is a really dangerous notion. The fact is, when your dog is a puppy, as a neonate, they need to be handled as much as possible. They need to be handled by humans as much as humanly possible. So when I hear the term responsible breeder, um, that is a term that gets thrown around a lot, and like the criteria that needs to be met for a responsible breeder, like one of the criteria that needs to be met is that they need to be introducing the dog, the neonate, the puppy, to all manner of people during the time they have them in their care, in their custody. Ian Dunbar says that they're doing a massive disservice to the puppy and the person that's going to become the guardian, or the family that are going to become the guardians, if they only ever expose the puppy to the breeder themselves and the breeder's friend, or the breeder and the breeder's spouse, or the breeder and the breeder's children. Okay, your goal should be to have the puppy meet 100 people by the time they're a neonate to the time they're 8 weeks old. 100 more between the time they're 8 weeks old and 12 weeks old. And then 100 more between the time they're 12 weeks old and 16 weeks old. So men, children, old people, all kinds of people, people in the family, neighbors. And then you're going to do, once the dog is placed, that's going to keep going. When a dog is 8 weeks old, up to 8 weeks old, they will approach any novel stimulus. They have a tendency to approach any novel stimulus, he says. Once they're older than 8 weeks, that's going to start to fade, and they will start to avoid novel stimuli. So as far as like, they're going to be really naturally precocious until about 8 weeks, and then once they start to get older, that's going to fade, and you're going to need to keep introducing them to people, environments, dogs, and not force them into those situations. And you're going to make sure that they benefit from them. And then if something's too scary, you give them a break, you give them distance, you remove them from that situation, you make the monster go away. So he also has said, like in a puppy class, he typically uses puppy class less for socialization. Of course, that's an aspect of it, but more so to see if there's any warning signs, see if the dog is developing at a rate that is appropriate. So basically, he talks about if there's a dog in class that is 3 months old, that is fearful in class, then he can resolve it within that session, within that class period, in one session. If there's a dog that is 5 months old that is fearful in class, he says that can be resolved in 6 months. And then he said that if there's a dog that's 8 months old that's fearful in class, it can take 2 to 3 years to resolve. So once your dog reaches a certain age and is past the critical socialization period and that window closes, then if you have a fearful dog at that point, not a suitable candidate for a therapy dog. If you have a dog that is hand shy, if you have a dog that ducks, like when you reach for their collar. So again, collar grabs need to be desensitized when they're puppies, and they need to be counter conditioned. They need to be classically conditioned. They need to get payment for experiencing that. If they're ducking their head, that's an early warning sign. If they're hand shy, that's an early warning sign. That's just telling us that that dog is not going to be on track to be a therapy dog, a therapy animal. If your dog is afraid of anything, especially after 8 months. If your dog is afraid of noises, afraid of any kind of people, if they bark at people, if they bark at any kind of people, they bark at dogs, not a suitable candidate to be a therapy dog. Not anytime soon. So I just wanted to talk about that. It's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people that have their mindset on doing this. But if it's in the cards, you've got to take advantage of their critical socialization period, and up until they're an adolescent, to keep them on track. And if you don't, then you're talking about a matter of years before you can even consider seeing if you can get them to that point. But it's highly unlikely. So anyway, just wanted to get those thoughts out there. Thanks for watching.